Hey, welcome back to another little mini training with Melody for Melody of Soul. Beauty, health, and soul care for beautiful, healthy souls. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite little techniques. It's called the 5-minute facelift. So this is video one. So video one, we will be talking about the face and what's called the décolleté, which is right here. Video two, we'll be getting more into some other techniques with it, some different things that you can do that are more advanced. And at some point in time, we're also going to do videos on the body. There is lymphatic drainage for everywhere, and it works. Well, I'll show you how quickly it works. The 5-minute facelift, it is a combination of lymphatic drainage, Korean facial massage techniques, and anti-aging principles. It helps reduce fine lines and wrinkles. It helps rejuvenate the skin and also the underlying tissue. It helps to rebalance the skin, and that tightens, tones, and firms the tissue that we're going to be working on. So today we're going to talk about the 3 quadrants of the face and how they go into the lymphatic system and how they go into the routine. Also the drainage process and the pressure. So if you don't know what lymphatic drainage is, lymph is defined as a colorless fluid containing white blood cells, which bathes the tissue and drains through the lymphatic system to the bloodstream. So what that means is, think of your body like a giant ocean. We're mostly made of water. So all of your tissues are floating around in this, and as they are doing their job, they are producing certain toxins, like certain things that they don't need. Very much like our body eliminate this system. It doesn't have any pumps like the cardiovascular system. It's very, very subtle, but it does detoxify. It balances the body, it balances different proteins in the bloodstream. It helps with the immune system because it keeps those things from building up. It helps with swelling effectively, and it also helps with transporting fatty acids. So it gets excess fat out of the body. I've linked an article below that tells you a little bit more about it if you'd like to go a little bit more in depth with that. There are 2 ways we have to move this lymph. Number 1 is through muscular contraction or muscular movement. So every time you even talk, you're doing this. But we can also do this through manual movement. So by manual movement, we can actually direct what we want to happen and where we need to activate the lymphatic system the most. The lymphatic system moves through nodes, which you may be familiar with if you've ever been sick. Some of the most popular nodes that people know are in the neck. If you've ever had a cold, it swells up your lymph node. Underneath the arm, in the groin a lot of times. The back of the neck can actually cause some headaches if you get some of those nodes congested. And then for a lot of people underneath the jaw, which is right here, this one gets really sore as well. So when they get congested and they get full of gunk, then it's time to flush them out. And this can also be used when you're not feeling great. The temple is another one that people don't always associate with having a node, but there's a node right behind it. So this can also be a place of headaches. So what we want to do is move everything through the system into the nodes, and then we want to flush it into the large tissue systems that are going to get rid of it. And before we get started, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Verity Hill from verityhilldesigns.com, one of my nearest and dearest friends all the way since high school, and she requested this video. So I just want to give a shout out to her, and I'll link her below to make sure she gets at least video 1 of the 5-minute facelift. I'm going to recommend that you do each movement 7 to 10 times. You can do it more if you're having congestion, but I don't recommend any less than that for effectiveness. I also recommend that you start with a moist face, that you've got either a moisturizer, or you're in the shower, or you got one of your night oils on, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. So you always want to make sure you have a little bit of slip to the face. Now there are techniques that you can do when you have makeup on. There are techniques that you can do throughout the day in video 2. Okay, so let's get started. The first place we want to go is the bottom, because this is the drainage system that is closest to the organs that are going to flush it out. So we don't want to start at the top because then we're overloading the system. So we're going to start by flushing the bottom half out. Now we start in the décolleté, and what you'll notice is as we move through this, you're going to feel your skin tightening up. And what that's doing is it's just clearing out the gunk. So we're going to be flushing towards your cleavage line or your superior vena cava. You can also think of this like the head of the sternum. We're going to be pushing everything down. That is our first move and our last move. So I'm gonna do one whole side so that you can see it and you can notice the difference. So your first lymph drainage point is right there at the cleavage point. So from here, you're just gonna give it a couple little presses just to activate. Next one, if you open your hand like this, it's gonna be about where your thumb is. So then we're gonna go to the thumb. We're gonna activate that one. You may even have a sore spot, depending on what's been going on with you. And then we're gonna drain. Now, a lot of people ask me what type of pressure I should be using. This depends on what you've got on your skin. If you've got a night oil and you're doing this right before bed, you can actually do a little bit more pressure. If you're doing this with a moisturizer that doesn't have as much slip, you might want to use less pressure. The thing about lymphatic drainage is it doesn't take very much pressure for it to actually work. Now we're gonna go to number 3. So you're gonna take one finger, edge it up, and this is your collarbone. So we're gonna go right at the collarbone. We've activated it, given it a couple movements. And then we're gonna take it down. I like to call this one the slide. So we're going down the slide, woo! And again, you'll do each movement 7 to 10 times. If you do this more often, you're gonna be able to do it really fast. For the sake of this video, this is gonna take us longer than 5 minutes. Also because this is not the full technique. Okay, so we've had 1, 2, and then 3, and then for number 4, we're actually gonna go around the collar line, right behind it. So I like to think of the collarbone as the rocks. So we're gonna go around the rocks, down the slide, around the rocks, down the slide. Now, do you have to use one finger? No, you can use all fingers. And if this is uncomfortable as we go further up, you can actually switch hands. So that you're going around the rocks, down the slide, around the rocks, down the slide. Now, when you use more fingers, what you'll notice is you don't have to be as exact. So you don't have to necessarily find that one spot with one finger. You're hitting it no matter what. Around the rocks, down the slide, around the rocks, down the slide. You might get a little bit of redness. Again, that always depends on what you are using when you're doing the technique. We're gonna go up to this muscle right here. This is called the sternocleidomastoid. We're gonna go right to the top of it, and that is one of those nodes that we talked about. So we're not actually on the jaw, we're slightly behind this muscle, and you might feel a really tight spot there. So we're gonna find that one, give it a whirl, take it down. What I recommend is going right behind that muscle. This is another little slide. Woo! Around the rocks, down the slide. Around the rocks, down the slide. Again, you can change hands if that feels easier for you. And you might even notice that if you've had any congestion in the throat, that you're already feeling some relief. This is great for times when you've had a cough or you lost your voice or anything's going on in the throat or the head. And down. So quadrant number 1 is this. So if you draw your face into 3 little lines, you get this one. You got one that lands at the bottom of the eye, and it starts again, and it takes the forehead. So basically you've got this line, and then everything else. Those are your 3 quadrants. So here, this quadrant is obviously going to affect the jawline. It's also going to affect this part of the cheek, any marionette lines that you might have, the lip, so if you have any lines on the lip, and also the nose. There are ways to change the shape of your nose, as well as other parts of your face, but not for today. Okay, so from here we're going to go to this spot, and you're going to draw a line up the jaw, back to our last node point, and slide it down. I like to do this with my thumb. Okay, 2, 3, 4. I'm obviously gonna do the minimum so we can get through this whole thing, but if you wanna do all the way to 10, depending on what kind of lines you got going on, you may want to concentrate on certain areas, but we're just gonna do this pretty general right now. The advanced videos will get into more little secret spots. So from here, we're just gonna take them out. And now we're on top, right? So we're moving the fluid right on top of the jaw. And if you've got these jowls that have started, you want to do this one a lot more, okay? So we're gonna go here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice you can turn your head to get to it a little bit easier. This is a bonus for you. I would like to show you the gobble neck. So for the gobble neck, we want to make sure we push everything up, up and away. So we're going to go back towards this lymph point, and then we've got to scoop it through the jaw. There's a big muscle right here, and this is where it collects. So we've got to get it out of the collection site. Okay, so if you've got gobble neck, you want to do this as much as you can, and then scoop that bad boy out of there. The next one, we're gonna go right above that. So we're right here at the lip line. So you notice we're just moving about 1/2 inch up each time. Three, 4, 5. This also helps with breakouts and congestion. All right, so we're gonna go another 1/2 inch up. Okay, so this is that big muscle that you chew with. We want to make sure we go up and under that muscle. This will help you get that definition. So I'm going to show you from the front. Up and under. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go a little bit above. So here we are on this last quadrant. So if you have lip lines, you're going to tighten your lip. Again, you might be doing both at the same time. When you do both at the same time, obviously it's quicker. But you're just gonna go right in here and move the lip lines. Okay, so here we are. And we're going underneath that muscle. A nice way to do it too is like get this guy involved. I only do this if I have oil on my face though. Because the more pressure, you want more slip. 3, 4, 5. Notice how you can even lift the side of your mouth a little bit. Crazy, right? All right, so this is gonna be the last piece of this quadrant right here underneath the nose. Under. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's all quadrant 1. Now we're gonna move on to quadrant 2, which is this little area right here. Up. So now we're going to a different lymph site. We were draining everything here. Now we're gonna drain it to here, the temple. Okay, there's this little dent in there, and a great way to find your nodes is where are your dents. They're usually pretty sensitive if you push on them too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna go up a little bit right here on the cheekbone. 1, 2, 3. And if you're using a moisturizer and you're starting to get a little dry, go back and add more. This actually helps your moisturizer absorb better into the skin. So you might be able to notice how it tightens and firms almost immediately. Now for the eye, you do want to be a little more gentle under the eye. Again, you're gonna want to scoop right into that little dip. 3, 4, 5. So now we're into quadrant 3. So for the eye, you are gonna go right over the eye. So gentle pressure, my friends. Okay, so for this one, this is the temporal, right? So we're gonna scoop this into the eye, and then we're gonna have to drain the other node. Otherwise, this node makes everything come down this way. So we're gonna drain the eye into the first node. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, into the brow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now clear it. 1, 2, 3. Now you can clear every single time. If you've got a lot of fluid around the eye, you get a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, and you're getting a lot of buildup there, then you want to clear each time. But if you're just trying to clean out this bed over here, and then you want to scoop it all out, that would be if you don't have as many fine lines and wrinkles. So if you got a lot of loose tissue here, I would recommend doing the scoop every single time rather than going back and doing them at the end. We're on to this last piece, so we're gonna drain it up here. So there's a little node right there. If you push back, ooh yeah, and it's right above the temple. So the temple's more like here, this one's right there. So we're gonna scoop up and over, up and over. And again, if you've got a lot of lines here, clear every time, okay? I know that movement gets a little crazy because you're like, where are those notes again? So this may take you a little longer to do on your own. I can do this literally in 3 minutes now. I do it to my mom all the time when she's complaining about different parts of her face sagging. I'm like, oh, you're doing that thing I told you? So you see I'm coming up and over, up and over. See that little pull on the tissue? When I was in aesthetic school, there was always this thing about don't pull on your eyes when you do your makeup. You know why that's a problem? You pull on your face when you're doing makeup? Because you're pulling it in the wrong directions and then you're not clearing anything out. So you're pulling the skin in a way that you don't actually want it to go later on. It's not a bad thing to give the skin some pulls. It's not a bad thing to cause a little bit of stress on your skin, on your hair, on your body, as long as it's the stress in the direction you want it to go. That's why we want to have everything come up. You'll feel when the skin starts to tighten and you'll be like, ooh, there's this one little piece that's not getting there. Well, that's the piece you're going to spend more time on. So you may notice the difference of the sides, especially here. Here, here. And when we go into the advanced video, we're going to talk more about how do you get some more lines in the cheeks, because there are ways to do it. Most of this is going to be fluid. We get puffy cheeks. That's why we all think we have round faces, but we really don't. So you'll even notice you can do a little brow lift. You can do a little forehead lift with it. It's pretty amazing, right? These are the products that I love. I've been asked this a million times what I use. So this night oil, this is by the Ayurvedic Experience. It's called Karasati oil. I will put it in the link below. I love this stuff. I have rosacea and I've had it since I was 19, which you can tell that I activated it. So this is called Anti-Redness Emulsion by Physiodermy. I've used this since I was 19. I also use their cleanser. This is their SL cleanser, which is for sensitive skin. They also have what's called the NB cleanser. So the SL cleanser is like a pink. I also use their Biogamage. I actually used this right before I came on this video, and it is a very, very light exfoliant. You put it all over your face, kind of like a lotion. You can do lymphatic drainage with it and get lymphatic and exfoliation at the same time. So you can actually let it dry on the skin and then just slough it off, and you'll see all the gunk coming with it. Or when it's still wet, you can use it as your lymph movement. And then as far as eye creams, I'm a big proponent of Dermalogica eye cream. I haven't been really impressed with the Physiodermy eye creams, and I've used a couple of them, but the Total Eye Care by Dermalogica, one of my favorites, especially in here. And last but not least are my correction creams that I use. This one is a new one by Physiodermy. This one's actually called Sublimating Cream. So it's just a little reflective. And then my other favorite is the Super Goop CC cream. And I also love their sunscreen. I used it all the time I was in Thailand. My regimen is oil at night, moisturizer in the day for my face. And that makes a huge, huge difference on the anti-aging. The other thing I recommend for the body, which when we get into lymphatic drainage for the body, you'll understand why this is a great tool, are oils to use for the body. You can use them before, after, or during the shower. If you want more about the lymphatic system, check out the article below. I also have links for all those products below the video. What I'd like to know from you is next week, Would you rather see the video that goes a little bit deeper into the advanced 5-minute facelift, or would you like to just jump into the lymphatic drainage for the belly or any other part of the body? So leave me a comment below and we'll go from there. Thanks so much for joining. I'll see you next time.